webinar going over the CP2P practitioner course. And the purpose of this is really just giving you an insight into what the certification is, what the makeup of it, but also as well is how it can assist you in progressing in your career. So just for those, anybody that has got any questions, I just want to make a big point as well. If you do have a question, just drop it in the chat box, and towards the end of the webinar, we'll be just going through and answering any of those there. So if you have got any specific questions, do drop them in the chat and we will address those at the end. So just introducing myself, I'm Christian. I'm one of the account managers here at IFOL. I have the great pleasure of being able to work closely alongside the students here and assist them on their journey. And I'm just going to pass you over to my colleague Sam, who will give you a bit of an insight into him and who we are as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam Hitchin-Ray. I'm Partnerships Director at the Institute for Financial Operations and Leadership. So I effectively deal with lots of our large employers who roll out training from us across kind of some of their bespoke academies, but then also work very closely with some of our industry partners, who we'll meet one of in a second, and then also some of our solution provider partners as well, who provide technology solutions for financial operations areas. So that's what I do in a nutshell. Thanks, Christian.
Brilliant, thank you. So just want to go over to the next slide and just show you a couple of things about IFOL. So here I just want to drop into is our core values. And for me, there's two things that really stand out in this. First is the community. As IFOL, one of our biggest focuses and we're dedicated to doing is developing a good community and creating opportunity for everybody to progress together. The other thing as well is the vision. We're very looking, we're very forward focused. We're always looking to be innovative and making sure that everything that we're putting out there is in your best interest and most up to date. So as I say, that's a bit of us. And as you can see at the bottom, our mission is to making learning and development accessible to all financial operations professionals. Here's a couple of, or an example, should I say, of a few of the, it's quite a big slide, but that is just a few of the clients that we do have the pleasure of working alongside. And as you can see, there's some astronomical businesses there like Pfizer and other ones as well, which obviously at the moment are all in, got a lot going on for them. So really exciting times. So this part is where I'm really excited. I think this is something that's brand new and no one's ever done this. And for us, this is one of the things that we want to bring forward and really give everybody an understanding of everything that goes on. So today we brought in one of our partners, and I'm going to hand you over to Gary, who's going to give you a bit of an insight into himself, what he does, but more importantly as well about who Robert Wilter, put my teeth in, sorry, about Walters People and who they are. So over to you, Gary, please.
Thanks, Christian. Yeah, so I'm Gary Darlington. I'm a senior manager at Walters People based in our Manchester office. Walters People are part of the Robert Walters Group. So we basically focus on anything transactional and part qualified finance, so more at the kind of junior to mid-end of finance before qualification. We recruit massively across the kind of P2P, O2C, R2R, shared service world. So in the north, we work with clients like Peer Group, ISS, Premier Foods. We do some work with Adidas, so quite a lot of the kind of larger finance hubs. We kind of support them in their recruitment activity. Yeah, that's us really. I've been with the business for 7 years. Recruitment's kind of changed a bit recently, so hopefully I think Kristen's going to ask me a few questions around the current climate and how it is for you guys out there looking for jobs. Yeah, any questions, just pop in the chat and I'm happy to help.
Yeah, certainly, Gary. I think, and again, this slide kind of illustrates this point, and I'm going to show you some of the reasons as to, from our experience, what our students are telling us as to why they're becoming certified. But as we say, next we'll go on to is what the industry and what employers are looking for. So here's 4 examples that we're finding at the moment that students are coming to take our certifications is obviously a bit of job security and recognition, making sure they're secure in their role. Remuneration, I'm sure we all like to look at that opportunity of being able to progress and so obviously earning more potential. Marketability as well. So obviously if you are in a certified body and you show that you're continuing forward, from a potential employer's point of view, our students are telling us they see that's valuable and more putting them in a good place. And then relevancy, the beauty with being certified, as long as you stay up to date, is you are up to date with all the changes that have come through. And a bit like you've just said there, Gary, there's been some drastic changes in recruitment, and I'm sure the last 12 months that's been the same pretty much across the board everywhere. So it is really about making sure at the moment we do stay up to date. So the next thing, I am going to go into, Gary, is a bit about what you're experiencing at the moment and how you're finding it. So, at the moment, what would you say is the situation in the market? And more importantly, what would you say is the difference from now in 2020 to what it was like in 2019?
Okay, so just to give you a flavour in terms of, we did quite a lot of research and quite a lot of white papers around a lot of data, market-driven stuff. Job postings from now compared to 2019 have gone down by 95%. So the adverts that go out there in the market on Indeed or wherever you search for jobs, there's a 95% reduction in those at the minute. So obviously it's a very challenging market. I think with that, I give people a bit of hope because people are in jobs, jobs are still operating, and we're placing people weekly into jobs. I suppose at the minute it's just much more difficult to find them, and I suppose once you enter into that interview process, it's much more difficult to get them as well. On the other side, applications have gone up by about 49% we've seen recently. So for every job that we post or we put out in a minute, the applications are going through the roof. So we've got the whole market's just turned on its head from this time last year, where particularly my area of the business, we had lots of jobs, lots of clients looking to recruit. I'm really not a lot of great quality candidates. A lot of candidates were kind of engaged in their businesses. We're looking to stay where they were or progress where they were, and now we've got not no jobs, but not lots of jobs, and a lot of people out there looking for work.
So obviously with that in mind, then, Gary, I think that sort of leads on to the next part, because you did mention there that there are people finding jobs, there are people that are they're coming out of work somewhere, being made redundant, and that they're getting into a role fairly quickly. So if somebody's there, what is the thing that employers are looking for that we can maybe advise students or clients to assist them in standing out? Because clearly there's a big filtering process going on at the moment for you guys, with more coming in the top, less opportunities at the bottom. So what is the thing that's making the difference for people getting into that role and not getting the role?
I think processes are just much more thorough now. So I'm sure most people would prepare fairly hard for an interview anyway, in any time, but I think now more than ever, everything that you do in terms of that, even from the moment when you start looking for a job, everything's got to be spot on and so thorough. CV, even basic stuff like your CV has to be absolutely on point. No errors, it sounds really basic, but just little things like spelling mistakes or anything like that, it's just got to be absolutely attractive to the employer. I think doing really every application you're putting in, making sure that it's tailored. I think that's important. I think it's quite easy just to do a slapdash approach and smash your CV out everywhere and hope that somebody comes back to you. But really trying to make sure that you're even tailoring your CV slightly for every individual job, depending upon what that client's looking for. So if the client's really interested in somebody with really strong Excel skills, making sure it's paramount and visible on your CV for that particular application. And then if the next job, looking for somebody with really good foreign currency experience, making sure that's, changing your CV again and just making sure that you're making it as tailored as possible. And then just, I think, obviously going back to the continuous improvement stuff, making sure that qualifications are up to date, everything's on there, clients know exactly kind of what you've done and it's not lost somewhere out there on the CV. I think in this market, unfortunately, it is a bit of a CV exercise. Particularly internal recruiters in big companies, they'll be getting hundreds of CVs for every job, and the opportunity to speak to those people or to get any FaceTime is quite minimal, because it's impossible for those hiring managers to speak to everybody. So the only way really to get that initial contact is just to make sure that what you're putting in front of them is relevant and spot on.
So what I'm kind of grasping from what you've said there then, Gary, the big thing, obviously, it's not just one variable. There's a few things entailed in standing out here and getting that opportunity. And by the sounds of it, obviously, your presentation, your upfront CV, making sure that is crafted perfectly is a big thing. But then also behind that, it sounded like you was almost mentioning to, making sure that the relevancy and the elaborations you put in there are very much showcasing your skills and qualifications towards what they're looking for specifically, as opposed to, as you say, cut and paste and send out to the masses.
Yeah, 100%. And, obviously without embellishing anything and making stuff up on your CV, but making sure that, the key points are highlighted. Because CVs are quite boring, they're quite bland, they're quite one-dimensional. It's really difficult to put any character in there. But, if, like I said, if the client is looking for a particular thing, and generally when somebody's hiring, there's one or two things on that or on that job spec that's really important for that job. It could be something basic like high volume processing, or it could be whatever it is, whatever's on that key skills required. Those first 2-3 bullet points, make sure that they're on your CV pretty much at the start of that kind of person's eye line when they start to read through the CV. If you don't see it, then they'll get bored and move on to the next one until they find it. Still there, Christian? Yeah.
Changes, it's happening everywhere. How do you obviously how do you stay ahead?
Say again, Christian, you just broke up there. Sorry.
I wasn't sure if I had or not. I did. So you did briefly mention on continuous education earlier. Is that something that you perceive is important to people now?
Yeah, I think massively. I think you get, particularly in a minute, this sounds quite bad, but I think clients looking for value for money. And that's not just to say that they're hiring on the cheap, but when the salaries haven't gone down at all, we've not seen that at all. They may have stagnated slightly, but our year-on-year salary survey increase, I think in AP, at a junior level, for instance, 2 or 3% increase on last year, and that's kind of maintained. So salaries haven't gone down, but when clients are hiring, they want to make sure that they're getting value for money and they're minimising the risk. And stuff like qualifications, any kind of personal kind of development stuff that people are doing, whatever that might be. It might be an Excel course, it might be I can't think of anything else, but whatever it may be, just making sure that you're making that client know that you're that type of person who strives to be the best, really, to improve themselves all the time. Yeah, I think particularly in this environment, every finance department will be looking to move forward and react and change and get better. We've got obviously a pandemic, we've got Brexit coming up, which is going to affect most large finance environments that operate, throughout Europe. Companies are going to have to adapt to that, process changes, and I think clients want to see people that want to change, want to develop, and are adverse and don't want to just plod along and be the same all the time. I think it's hard. I think one other point, I think it's hard in P2P and accounts payable. I think it's quite tough. Historically, I've been in recruitment for 20 years, and a huge amount of kind of certification or anything that those people in that world can do to show that they want to develop. Obviously, there's AAT and other more finance qualifications, but sometimes if you kind of go down that route, people see that you're going to be an accountant and then don't want to take you on because you're not committed to AP. So, I think something like this really shows that you kind of you want to be your best in your chosen field.
Yeah, specialising in that sector and that area itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, I think, Gary, you've shared a lot of valuable information there. And I think, the one thing I would say just for anybody else that's sitting out there, from your point of view, what's the one piece of advice that you would give to anybody that is searching for a job right now? I appreciate we have kind of gone over that in those there, but if there was just one thing, what would be the one thing that you would say to them? Just, that would be the key thing to go forward with.
I've probably got more than one, so I'll rattle off a couple, but I think resilience is massive at the minute. I think it can be really hard when you're looking for a job. I think particularly because job searching these days is quite digitalised. It can be It can be a slow process, and you've just got to stick at it, because you will get there. And if you do the right things and you continue to do, it's like anything, isn't it? If you continue to do the right things, you will get success. Another quick one is definitely follow up on applications. Sometimes these applications go into a portal or go into some sort of like cloud where they just sit there and they might not be reviewed. And even myself, when I'm advertising jobs that I look at, sometimes I'm not great. Sometimes at thoroughly going through them because something else happens and maybe don't get round to it. And sometimes somebody will ring me out of the blue and say, "I'll send you CVs today," and blah blah blah, and they're actually the perfect candidate for the job. So be confident, pick up the phone, speak to people if you can. The preparation piece is massive. Really prepare every application like it's the only one, I suppose. And I suppose the final thing is just don't spread yourself too thinly. I think the human instinct is to send CV everywhere, especially with every agency, and plaster your CV everywhere. And I think sometimes it's probably more beneficial to, if you are using a recruitment company, to partner with 2 or 3 that understand you, that you've got a good relationship, that will kind of be your spokesperson as such. They'll kind of look out for you and market you properly. And try and build relationships. We've got candidates that we've worked with for years, and we always find them a job. At the end of the day, that we know them, they know us. There's an element of trust there, and we'll always get them something in the end. So they're probably the main things that probably advise for people to do at the minute.
Fantastic. Well, that's been a great insight for me to see what's going on your side of the field, Gary, and that side there. And I hope to everybody else that is on here today, that really has given them some clarity as to where the market's at. The opportunities are still there. And so thank you very much for that, Gary. That was brilliant. So now we're going to go into the makeup and the modules that actually wrap around and make this program itself. So I'm going to pass you over to Sam, who's going to give you a breakdown and really sort of put the details into this part here. So over to you, Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Christian, and it's some really interesting points there from you, Gary. So thanks very much for that. I'm really excited to share with you a bit more information on the CP2P program. But before I go into actually what the kind of core elements of the program are, what you'll learn, and the learning objectives and outcomes are, I think it's worth mentioning the reason why this program exists, why we went down the route of developing it, and the history. And so to give you a bit of an insight, the P2P or CP2P program that we launched in October, so just over a month ago, it was a program that was in development for about 18 months. And the reason that we decided to kick that development off and start building the program was because we knew that there was a need for it. We knew there was a gap in the market for qualifications or certifications for those in procure to pay and other areas of transactional finance. And we know particularly now that businesses are looking to create the efficiencies, streamline processes, and save money where they can. And the whole concept of procure to pay, where we're creating an environment which is a streamlined environment which has got full visibility for procurement and right through to accounts payable and payments. That creates the things that employers want or the businesses need, which is streamlined processes, better relationships with suppliers, and cost savings effectively. So that's kind of the reason why the program exists. We know there's a need for it. We know that there are lots of employers that we've worked with who worked with us to develop the program, and we know that they need people with the right skills to create those process efficiencies and bring together the procurement and payables piece within the business. So in terms of what we teach within the program, it's a significant program, so roughly 140 hours of learning, which is broken down over about 18 or 19 modules, plus probably 5 or 6 different topics within each module. So there's a lot of variety within the whole program. But to kind of summarise that, we break it down into 5 core areas. And that 5 core areas begins with understanding the procure to pay cycle and what procure to pay really means, because I'm sure we've all heard, you know, the terminology of P2P or procure to pay thrown around, but what does it actually mean? Well, that's what we focus on in the first sort of 15 to 20% of the program, so that you gain a full understanding of what we mean by P2P, how it fits into an organisation, and really why many organisations are implementing a P2P environment or process, and how it can benefit the organisation. Once you've got that understanding, we then move on to the structure. So if you're going to be implementing this P2P structure within the business, you need to understand where it sits within the organisation, what the structure looks like, how the 2 organisations work together, and then perhaps some of the technology elements and how they bring the 2 departments and process together to give full visibility for both sides. Once we've got the structure in place, we then start to look at how are you going to manage the change within the business. How are you going to adapt and upskill some of the team? Because inevitably there are going to be areas where team members need to be skilled to handle the change. But you need to also be able to manage that change for those individuals in the business and manage their expectations. Once we've kind of made the change and we've got the structure in place and we understand the cycle, we then look at how to optimise the whole process and environment, and that could be through you know, process mapping or process improvement using various process methodologies, you know, whether it's lean or others. And we talk about, you know, why you might decide to use a certain process methodology for certain parts of the exercise. And then we look at things like automation and technology solutions and really how they can benefit the whole cycle and how they can, you know, create even further those cost savings, those effective and efficient processes for the business. And that's really is quite a big piece of the whole jigsaw, really. Obviously, once you get across the kind of line of having an established P2P environment, you need to then look at how to optimize that, and that's what we talk about in that section. And then finally, a large section of the course is dedicated to leadership and management. So within the program, you know, you've obviously, we kind of put you into the scenario where you have created the structure, you've embedded it, you've made the change, you've optimized, you've got the team on board, and the business on board, and everything's functioning well. But then you need to have the leadership and management qualities and abilities to then lead the team, keep them motivated, to look at, you know, things like resource planning and talent management, etc. And so within the final section of our program, we do go into depths on leadership and management styles, and creating the right culture for the P2P environment. So those really are the 5 kind of core areas. As I mentioned, you know, there are probably roughly sort of 80 different subjects within the entire course, which breaks down to about 18 or 19 different modules. So it is a you know, fairly lengthy course. We're looking at, you know, as I mentioned earlier, about 140 hours. But when you break that down to, you know, just 45 minutes a day, you can complete the course in, I think it was around 3 to 6 months time. So it's certainly an investment of your time, but it's an investment well spent effectively. So if I move on to from the actual kind of content of the course, which, you know, you can find more on within our brochure on the website if you want to download the brochure. There are a few elements of the program that you would need to be aware of if you were looking at enrolling in the program, which are how it's delivered effectively. The course itself is an online program. It's set within our virtual academy. It's a state-of-the-art academy. And so all of the materials and the assignments and everything that's within the program is effectively available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so you can learn where and whenever you want. It's available on all devices, so mobile, laptop, PC, etc. You can access it from anywhere really. And because a lot of the content within the course is videos or audio that you can, makes it really convenient to watch the videos when you're on the move. Appreciate people probably are less and less on the train at the moment due to the lockdown, but when those things lift and you're on the move to or from work, or during your lunch hour, you can progress through the course, just using your mobile phone. So we do make it very user friendly and easy for you to progress through the course. Within each module, there will be a variety of tests, if you will, which will be things like we might ask you to complete an assignment, which is where for instance, if we talk about process methodologies, we might put you into a scenario within the course and ask you to talk about why you might look to use a certain methodology or a certain process improvement methodology, and why you would rule out perhaps 3 or 4 others that are well-known process methodologies. And so we probably ask you to do sort of 300 to 500 words on those types of subjects, submit that assignment, and then those assignments get reviewed, feedback provided by our expert tutors who are on hand through our academy or through the website or through email as well. So you've got 24/7 access. As you progress through the course and you've completed all the assignments and you've gone through the modules, you'll reach the final exam at the end of the programme. The exam itself is predominantly multiple choice questions, roughly around 100 questions, which you complete in roughly an hour's time. There's a pass mark for the programme, which is 80%. So you do need to achieve that to pass. If you, for any reason, don't reach the passing grade, then you would be directed back to specific areas of the course to do some research before then being able to come back and retake the exam, for which there's no additional cost to take the exam a second time at all. One thing that's worth noting with this program is as part of its uniqueness is that as a student you get access to a support forum which is specifically for those that are studying the CP2P program. And when I say support forum, it's not just an online chat room where you post questions and come back later. This is a live support forum that's led by one of our expert tutors. It's an area where students can join, just like a webinar like this, but it is actually a bit more interactive, where you are actually taking part and you can speak to those in the webinar. So you have kind of audio ability as well as being able to put questions through. And it provides a really good opportunity for you to network with those who are kind of like-minded, to do some peer-to-peer learning and learn from others who are in similar organisations, who are coming from a similar background, who may be facing similar challenges or have been through the same sort of challenges that you may be facing in your business. And then thirdly, it gives us a great opportunity to take questions forward to our tutors. So if you've been through an element of the course and you want to get opinions from others, or you want to you want some extra help with understanding an element within the course, then that's what that forum is for. You can join that forum and get all the support and help that you need. And then fourthly, another thing that makes the program unique is that you will be, as a student, you will get a dedicated account manager. So you're not buying a course and enrolling and being left out on your own to progress. There is someone there at all times to support you. Now, Christian is one of our account managers at IFOL. Christian, do you want to give us a bit of an idea of what account managing looks like for you and what you do kind of day to day?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously when it comes to enrolling onto the courses, there is a bit of an onboarding process. So just to make sure there's no headaches from your side and you all understand exactly how to access the material, we will take you through a full onboarding process, setting up your account. Then we'll start taking you into some of the materials, so you can actually see how that works for you, get a feel of where it is. And really, it's just about equipping you with all the information you need and where to get it. But then if there is any questions or anything that you're coming along, we have the forums, but you'll also have my contact details or your assigned account manager that will be able to obviously relay with you immediately, or there, within a time period to be able to get you immediate answers to questions that you're going through. So really, we're here to just support you in that onboarding process, make sure that you really understand how and what you're doing going through the course. But if there is anybody, we are here as your point of contact to just be able to assist and just redirect you and just point you in the right line to be able to get your answers.
Yeah. So thanks for that, Christian. I mean, from my point of view, then, just to kind of summarise the programme and the content, really. As I mentioned earlier, the content exists based on the research that we've done with employers in terms of what knowledge and skills that they need. We know that lots of employers are looking for these process improvements and looking to kind of save money on and create efficiencies within the business and better relationships with suppliers. So that is essentially why the program exists and what we've based it around. And then in terms of the delivery of the program, it is completely essentially self-paced, so you can learn at your own pace. You got access 24/7, and you are fully supported from start to finish. So it is a really well structured program, and hopefully somebody will be joining us on the program in December. So I'll pass it back to you now, Christian.
Super duper, thank you. So for those that are thinking and sitting there going, I am interested, I do want to go forward with this, or even you've got further questions, just to give you a couple of insight into what the next steps for you would be. Firstly, we will be closing enrolment from the 1st of December. So if you are wanting to join, you need to be in and ready for the 1st of December, because we'll be hosting our student induction on the 14th. Now, again, just to stress on the student induction, if you aren't available to make that day, don't worry. We can do one-to-one with you. We can onboard you. That's why me or the other account managers are here to assist. That's just so that we can do it as a group and you can all sort of get a feel and be going off at the same start. But as I say, if you can't make it, don't worry. We can either send you a webinar or we'll do it ourselves and go through it with you. The course costs are just the right-hand side now. You can see you can either pay in full. So whether you're here in the UK or you're in US or Canada, the prices are there as thus. If you did or would prefer to pay over instalments, we can do it for 10 instalments for you, or less if you need it, but we prefer to go with the 10. And it is just a breakdown of the total cost divided by 10. So as I say, that's where it is in regards to the costs. If you want to go forward, you'll see our website is just there, which is acar-edu.org/P2P. If you go straight there, you'll be able to click on and enroll directly. However, if you do have any queries and you'd just like to get a bit more information before going any further, you just drop your name in the chat box down below and I'll be able to give you a call or we'll arrange a call and we can just go over in a bit more detail with you and we can move on from there. So, as I say, I hope that has answered everybody's questions and really given you a good insight into what this program is and what your next steps are to progress your career. Again, I just want to really say thank you to Gary and to Sam for sharing their time with us and being here to share that insight. So again, thank you very much, gents. And as I say, from my point of view, I really do look forward to being able to assist people on this course.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you all, and as I say, if there are any queries, do drop a message in there. And as I say, other than that, Sam, over to you. If there's anything final you'd like to say.
No, just as I mentioned, hopefully we'll be seeing some of you on the course in December. I think it's a great time to join the course because it opens up the opportunity for you to perhaps do some of the tasks over the holiday period. Those of you that are that way minded. So yeah, if anyone has any queries or questions, obviously Christian's the best person to speak to, but you can come through the website or actually enroll directly through the website as well. So look forward to seeing some of you on the programme.